it's time for another Car Dealer Weekly. What are the plans this week is I need to get the Mitsubishi Colt sorted. I need to put a radio in it, and I need to get it down for its MOT, to get a fresh MOT put on it. And I should have my little Aveo back this week as well. And I'm also expecting at some point this week a rear bumper to come for the C3, so I can get that done and get that down for MOT as well. So there's plenty to do. Hopefully we can get a sale in, because I haven't had a sale so far this month, and it's just been really slow. I know we're only like a couple of weeks in, but if we can get a bit of momentum back after last week's disaster, hopefully it'll carry us on for the rest of the month. You know, one sale can, for some reason, can just seem to spur you on to the next one, and then the next one, and you can start getting more and more. And then the more you're turning over cars, the more people start paying a bit more attention to you. If you've just got the same cars sat around all the time, people you just see that as a bad sign, really, which I can understand. So we'll just, once we get them wheels back in motion and get everything sorted, we should be all good. But main thing, coffee time this time of the morning. No good, is it? Cars, well, I've just come to have a look at fitting the stereo for the Colt, and it's working. Was it just having a moment? I'll have to keep an eye on it. Obviously, if I don't need to fit it, I don't need to. You know, it's doing its thing. Yeah. Don't know what else to say. Right then, new day. Just keeping them wheels moving. That's all we're doing. Just tweaking things here and there, just to make sure that we can be here, rather than, you know, in the middle somewhere. Say, like, perfect one, for instance, the Mitsubishi Colt really seems to have something about it that's making it struggle. Why? Who knows? But I'm just tweaking little bits here and there, just to make sure that I can make sure it's right at the top tier of what it can be. For instance, it now has 12 months MOT, and the only advisories on that MOT was some very slight cracking in the rear tyres, which is all good for me. They have really good tread on them, so it wasn't really worth changing them for the sake of an advisory. And I think for the age of the car, just having a couple of advisories on some tyres, not the end of the world. And what it is, well, I'll even show you them as well, because they are very slight. Even when I was talking to the tester, he says they're only just an advisory. He said because they were advising its last MOT and they haven't been changed, it would just look even worse if I didn't advise on them now, just to make sure the job is 100%. Because if he didn't advise them and they obviously haven't been changed, then the people would question, dodgy MOT, is it? So we're just keeping it 100%. I've also sorted the radio out as well. The radio did come back to life and was working. I took it for an MOT, it worked fine, and when it was on the lift, it like hop and skipped just the once, and it's then put itself right, and then I drove it back, and it was okay. But then you hit a bump and it do, and then sort itself out, and then you hit another bump and it do. So I thought, I've got the radio here, so I might as well just sort it out. It also kind of brings it into the modern times a little bit, because obviously the original radio was literally just a radio CD player. Now it's got Bluetooth, it's got it's obviously got radio, it's got a CD, and I'm sure it's got auxiliary input as well. So it just covers more bases, just kind of elevate it that tiny bit more. One thing that everybody always wants is Bluetooth. So yeah, so now what the plan is I'm just going to give it a rewash. I'm also going to go around and try and sort out some of the tiny details that are kind of, I wouldn't say letting it down, not not in the slightest is it letting it down, but it's just, I just want to kind of see if we can just, you know, with every improvement I'm making, it's making it that much better. So, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to adjust the price by 100 quid, which for a car with a year's MOT compared to a car with, I think that's 6.5 months MOT on it, to like, it was like early October. I think for 100 quid, for getting a car with 12 months test rather than 6.5 months test, is a no-brainer for me. I've spent more than that on it to just get it through its MOT. Yeah, I think in total the prep bill on this thing now, just in terms of like mechanical work, is like 330 quid, and that was a service and MOT. Lots of people wouldn't even bother servicing a car of this age, but it's just again, it's for what it costs, just get it done. I think it costs like 70 quid for an oil and filter. You know, you're not going to be running to the bank with that 70 quid, are you? So it just makes sure that engine just has that little bit of an extra chance in life, which they're a really good engine anyway. But anyway, we'll get cracked on, do the little bits and pieces. I'll even show you the radio and things like that. It's not finished yet, like. Right then, so my little cheapy Chinesium stereo works absolutely lovely. We'll get that turned down before I get told off by YouTube. Starts up every time as well. Like, I've never had to charge the battery on this thing either. So what I do believe, this was at fault. Why, I do not know. Could have been something simple. I can't see anything with like the prongs or anything like that. I did obviously have to buy a wire kit. I also bought as well one of these little doodads for a couple of quid. I did go to Halfords because they do have a lot of the stuff on the shelf. I think it was ridiculously £13 for the wiring harness for it, which I thought was ridiculous, but it was one of them things that I needed it today really, just to keep the wheels in motion. And then this little doodad was 2 quid, which it turns out I don't need, so I'm going to keep it. And I'm not going to, I might look in to potentially, oh, it doesn't have a CD player, never mind. I'm going to look into possibly getting one of these to keep on the shelf, because this is a good little unit. And I'll be honest, the Dacia could do with a fresh one as well, because it's not particularly good. So yeah, for the sake of £18, that will do the job. And in terms of tidying this little gem up, what I'm going to do is, I'll be honest with you, not a great deal. There's a little bit of a marquee that kind of needs polishing back and touching in. I probably should have done that to start with, really, shouldn't I? Give myself a slap on the wrist for that later. But for me, it was just more of a case of, it's an old car at the end of the day. If that's the only one of the few marks that you're going to pick up on it, then it's not the end of the world, is it? I've just got to try and, hopefully I've got a touch-up pot that is somewhere near, just to kind of match it up as best as I can. Round here, there's no like major marks. I am going to take this next base camera out, because for one, that there, I saw that in Halfords, that's 55 quid just for that. So, you know, even if it's not suitable for this car or anything, or if I can take it out and things like that could be an eBay job. Claw back some of the money for the radio, if you know what I mean. It's the little things that help. And also what I'm going to try and have a look at is this very small dent here. I can get my hand in behind and give it a little push. So what the plan is to do a bit of the old PDR and try and get that back. And then it's just a case of going around and finding the little bits. The little bits. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, it's a clean car, so you'll be searching for these little bits for a while. So, oh, there's a tiny bit there. And then stupid stuff. I could just take that off, to be honest with you, if I wanted to. But so I'm just gonna go around addressing these tiny things, just to bring it up. I'm gonna give it a bit of a fresh clean, and hopefully that can kind of bring somebody to the door and get them to commit. Because I have had interest in this car, it's just nobody has gone that final step. So it's just about tweaking them tiny things. Hopefully, I'll put the price up. I'll try my luck. If not, I can always put it back down. You know, the price isn't set in stone. It's not. It's not like that's the price and that's what the price is always going to be. You know, I can put it up, try my luck, see if it works. If not, you can put it back down that £100. You could even put it up for £995 if it doesn't sell, but I don't want to do that because it's a really good car, and I think if I drop the price too much, it is just going to do this little gem an injustice because it drives lovely. There we go, that looks a bit better. It's not perfect. I did mix the paint up myself, but I think for the purposes of it, it looks all right. You know, as I have a tendency to say, it looks all right from afar, but it's far from all right. If you get right into it and look, you can see where I've touched in. There is some bits where I've got some clear lacquer touching, which I'm going to try and get these off here, because I think that's just scratches in the lacquer. It's not actually, it's just deep scratches in the lacquer. It hasn't actually gone into the paint, I don't think. But you can touch it in with lacquer, which just takes your eye off it a little bit. There is a few tiny little bits here and there that are like that, but whereas before you could, from the distance, you could kind of make it out, whereas now you have to get right into it to see. I think as well, it doesn't help the fact that you can see where I've been wiping it down and things like that. You can kind of stand out more. So I think if I can get this bit here looking a bit better and just give it a little tart up, as they say, it'll help it out a lot. And then the other ones were just little bobby basic ones. You know, you can see obviously where I've touched it and where it's not a perfect match, but it looks a bit better. I think there's one in the door that I've done, which you can't really see, which is good. And I found one in this bottom corner somewhere, which I've lost. So then what I need to do now is I just need to try and hope that I can get my PDR stuff to work and get this dent out. Highly doubtful of that anyway. Right then, I'm probably just going back to basics now on this. Now I've done them little bits just to kind of bring it up. I'm kind of just doing the simple stuff that, I'll be honest, I kind of overlooked because I was a bit like, it's acceptable for what it is, you know, cheap car, da. But I'm thinking now I'm doing it. Now I'm getting to the finer details that are just kind of elevating this car. I'm then going just back to the basics, just the simple stuff that you kind of overlook sometimes, like taking the wheel trims off and just giving it a good old to the wheels, kind of brings it up a bit more. And even to the extent of, you know, the wheels were a little bit scuffed in places. I haven't like refurbed them or anything. I just gave them a quick little blast with the aerosol just to kind of bring them back a bit. Nothing like major. Oh, I've just noticed there's another touching to do in this corner here. Okay. But even to the extent with this one, the seat was jammed. These have a cool little party trick that they do where you can lift the seats right forward and you end up with a massive boot space. But what had happened is, where this carpet's been bunched up, these were pulled forward, a bit like there. You can see there. As you can see, where all the carpet's all turned up. And what it had done is it had just got the mechanism a bit jammed up. These things here. And it was just locked into place, so I gave it a good old heave-o and it popped back out. So just a simple thing like that, because I can take a picture of this and show that the seats fold forward when I repicture it. Just to kind of... And I'll be honest with you, I'll flip you on so I can talk. So yeah, I've kind of enjoyed even getting mucky marks on my face. Just getting back to the basics. Just the simple stuff like this. And it just... It's a bit daft, but it kind of reminds me of where you begin. You know, before you know as much as you know, you kind of learn how to do the bits like taking the wheel trims off and things like that, and just doing the simple stuff, and just, as I said, the basic things that when you're doing it for a while, you end up overlooking. You're thinking, on a car like this, nobody's gonna give a toss at if the wheel behind the wheel trim is black. You know, and I'll be honest with you, nobody's gonna care. But in terms of when it comes to me taking the photos, it just brings it up to that level. Now, the thing that I think that is obviously holding this car back is the fact that you go on Marketplace and you could probably pick this car up for 800 quid. That is what is holding it back. Now, granted, you know, might not be as good as this one, hence why, you know, I'm standing by this one. Warranty, the usual stuff. So I just want to make it look like it is better, because it is. There's an old saying in sales: the first 30 seconds are the most important part of the deal, because our first impression is what can never be changed. If this looks like a tatty old car, they're going to think it's a tatty old car. So I am just doing my best just to elevate it, make it look like a lovely low mileage Colt, and hopefully, fingers crossed, no guarantees, I could still not sell this car, but hopefully I can just bring it back. I'm even contemplating just giving it a bit of a polish and that, just to give it a bit of a shine. But I'll see how it comes out first. I'm not giving it like a machine polish, because that is definitely going, maybe that step too far. But if I can give it a bit of a hand polish and just elevate it that tiny bit more, just so when you're looking on the internet, it has gone from being average Colt to top tier Colt. I think that will definitely help it out. Right, so this one hasn't really featured on the channel that much. This little Chevrolet Aveo that I've got in, really nice car. Very impressed with this. I have took this home, and obviously with a 6-month-old, space very important. This thing handled it no problem whatsoever. My wife even made a comment that it was better than the Duke that we used, 10 times better than the Duke we used, to be exact. Which she's right, because with the Duke it was absolutely terrible. Struggled to get a pushchair in the boot, things like that. This, not an issue whatsoever. So people will always make the assumption that because you've got a kid, you can have a car like this. I'm going to tell you now, you're wrong. This car, fantastic. So we'll have a quick little look around and we'll see what it's like. Right then, so it has had a full 12 months MOT, and it has been a little bit longer than what I would like, but sometimes these things happen. That is simply down to the fact it needed welding, which you can see the sills have been blackened in, but you know, you could go around painting them, but you're not really. It looks so acceptable to me. other than that, I've done a few little bits of touch-ins and things like that. I've got a couple more to go through, like this one up here. But in terms of inside and that, yeah, it's a bit old school, but let's be honest, old school is probably the best way to go about things, if you ask me. Again, very spacious. Obviously that seat's pushed quite far back, but again, quite spacious. My wife didn't complain about any space. One thing that did catch me is I was looking all over trying to get in the boot, and I was feeling it, and I was like, where's it at? It's here. Again, quite a spacious boot. I have got a light so you can actually see, apart from needing a good clean, it'll get the job done. And overall, this is a lovely car. In terms of the mileage as well, it's got really good mileage. Let's jump inside here. Can't remember exactly. 61,000. Got 2 keys with it as well. Service history up to, I'm not too sure what that could be. That could be 2018. But I have just had it serviced as well. And you can see there, I've just had welding done on the sills, costing me 160 quid. So, yeah. No corners have been cut on this one. It's had some new tyres on it. It's had new suspension bits. It's had its brakes done. So everything's been done all correct and above board, at least to my knowledge anyway. You know, the tyres are only going to be an advisory. I just thought get them done. I think it's only got 1 advisory on it now. For the exhaust, Lexi's a little bit weak. He says you can, if you push the exhaust, it moves a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's not blowing. It's just showing its age, which is completely acceptable. 2009, believe it or not, it was a long time ago. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it is. And this is a low mileage car, so it's going to get the usual tidying up, things like that. I might polish it. I don't know. I don't really think it needs it, to be honest with you. It's quite a shiny car. And for some reason, I've just noticed on the camera, when the light's shining, that silver front bumper looks a completely different colour. But in person, it's not. I think it's just the way the camera's reacting to the light hitting it. But yeah, I'll get it tidied up and then you can see the finished article. I'll give you another look inside. But, you know, I'll either try and tidy the mats up or chuck them in the bin. But this one should be pretty straightforward. I'm hoping it sells quick as well because it's a nice little car. Right then, how things can progress, shall we say. Don't know why I said progress like that either, so, you know. First deal of the month. It's the 13th. But the little C3, I have taken a deposit on it and I have sold it in the condition it is in. Well, as it stands here right now, it is obviously getting fixed, getting things like the bumper done and things like that, getting valeted and whatnot and MOT'd and things like that, but it is now sold and I am 99% confident it will be going out the door because I know the gentleman who's buying it, or shall I say his mother-in-law's buying it, but he came down with her and he helped sort it out for her. So these are the sort of deals I really love, selling to people that you know a bit about, so you can have conversations with them, you can be a little bit more honest with them, unlike sort of just somebody who just turns up. You can have a proper conversation with them and you can talk about them. I met his wife and no, she hasn't been very well, so I was like, oh, I'm really glad to hear you're all right, things like that. And you can just have a genuine conversation with people, and they're the ones that really I do love, and they kind of make it worthwhile when you sell them to somebody you actually know. I know him because I did some recovery work for him back when I used to have a recovery business. So, and it's also going a couple of doors down from my sister's house. so I'll get to see it all the time. And you know what, it wouldn't surprise me as to when he's done with it, I get it back. It's just fantastic, isn't it? They're the deals that you really love, and the fact that I'm going to see it all the time with my little sticker in the back window, it's going to warm this old heart of mine. Just makes things better, doesn't it? Right then, so back at it again, just getting finished up on this lovely little Aveo, and look at how well that has turned out. What a little gem this car is. I'm really glad about this. This one I took a big risk on when I bought it because it came with no mechanical report. It appeared like on the face of it there was going to be something wrong with it, and quite simply there wasn't really, other than the fact it was due MOT. I can imagine BCA have just being like, that's an old car, we're not going to waste our time, you know, doing our mechanical reports on it or anything like that. We'll just do a condition report. And I kind of just looked at it and thought, you know, that's a nice car, you know, if I can get it for the right price, I could take the risk. And my winning bid was £225, I believe. And out the door it cost me 400 quid, and then I had to get it delivered because, I'll be honest with you, without having no mechanical report and not a lot of MOT on it and things like that, I didn't want to take the risk of driving it. So I got it delivered, which was still cheap enough. So it owed me just shy of £500 by the time it came to preparing it, and I think I maybe spent another 500 quid on getting it ready, getting the service, getting it MOT'd and things like that, which leaves £500 profit, which for cars of this sort of price bracket, you can live with that really, can't you? I think 500 quid for what I've done basically is I've valeted it, you know, that's all I've done. So if you can get 500 quid for a valet, then you're doing all right. I've had a bit of free use out of it because it came with some petrol in it, so it's not to be sniffed at, is it? But look at it. Look, I'll even shine my light up towards it just so you can see how shiny it is. Look how nice it's come out with its Ling Long tyres. Even look at how nice the inside's come out. Look how I've managed to save the mat as well, which is nice. It's just come up really well. I'm happy with it. And in all fairness, you're not getting a bad car for your money. So what you're getting, all around electric windows, you got electric mirrors, I think it's got auxiliary input as well. Air conditioning, not sure whether that works or not. You know, low mileage car as well. You don't get a great deal more for your money. You get some very handy cup holders, which I quite like them. They're unusual, aren't they? But what you're essentially getting is you're getting quite an economical and dependable little cars, because these are really reliable little cars. If the Corsa, which GM make these cars, and they also at the time made Vauxhalls, if they made the Vauxhall on the same platform as this, the Corsa would be 10 times better. These are very dependable little cars. There's not a great deal to go wrong with them. There's not a great deal that tends to go wrong with them. So in overall condition wise, now I've done bits of tidying up. I think the only real noticeable bit of bodywork is the top of this door. If you get in close, you can see it's had a previous repair before, and I don't know whether it's reacted, and it's just not been a top-notch job, but you know, you can't complain, can you? So I'm really happy with this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out, get it photographed while it's still sparkling, looks like it's an okay day out there for it. So hopefully we can get that done. And I've actually got a viewing today on the Dacia Sandero stepway, so hopefully they turn up as well. So Friday could turn out to be a good day for me. Obviously I took a deposit on the C3 yesterday, and they're the ones, as I even said to my wife, because she was here, I said, that one sale, although it sounds strange, can just cause a ripple effect somewhere and get you some more people in. So we'll just see how it goes. Hopefully we can get some sales done and finish off the week on a high. And then I'm just having a little bit of a break now. I've got the Aveo cleaned up. I've gave the Dacia just a fresh clean as well. I need to get the C3 in to get the bumper fitted, which looks like it should be a quick and easy job. So I've got that to do, but I'm just doing a little bit of car shopping because obviously I know the C3 is going. 99% certain that's going. The Dacia could be going today, you never know, as long as they turn up. They might buy it as well. So you don't know. So I need to try and be on the front foot in terms of getting some stock in. So I'm just having a look, and I'm trying to be more sensible with what I buy. You know, I'm trying to buy some better selling cars, shall we say. But I'm still trying to make sure that I don't go buying Vauxhall Corsas that will want rebuilding and things like that. So I'll flip you around and you can share your opinion on what I'm looking at. Some of it's actually decent stuff, I would say. And so I'm just having a quick look. Obviously, first one up, low mileage Chrysler Ypsilon. Really nice car. That's one of the two-tone ones. It's got quite an unusual interior, but I quite like it. That there is a 3695 car, but it does want quite a bit of paint on the near side rear door and the bumper corner, which I'll try and show you. Where's that? It's here. So there you see there, it could potentially as well go, I think it does go into this door just a bit. That is quite extensive. That it's basically one on half the full side painting, and then it goes up into the quarter and on the bumper corner, and that light's damaged as well. So that'll need replacing. So we'll bear that in mind as well. But lovely cars. I am quite fond of these little Chryslers, and when I've had them, they have sold very well. What else is there? Little Renault Clio, another little cheapie, a bit more mileagey than what I have been getting with my Clios lately. 102. It's just a 3-door, but it's blue, so it's a good colour. Service history's got a little bit as well. Just wants the usual basically in terms of prep. 1695 for that. So that it does want a bit of tidying up as well. It's just been a typical Clio, just a bit neglected, shall we say. But other than that, nothing too major. City Go, don't usually get these, but as you can see, up in the mileage, 136, which, considering it's a 2013, early 2014 maybe, you could maybe say that's not ridiculous. I think it's 11 years old, so what's that? Really, if it's doing 10,000 miles a year, 110, so it's not ridiculously over. And I've had a look at the MOT history, and it was only really doing crazy sort of mileage. Like 1 year it did 18,000. It does have a discrepancy, but I could tell it's a typo because 1 year it did apparently 520,000 miles, which is physically impossible. But that one there, tidy. It's got a marker down for the clutch slipping, but I've had it plenty of times where they're saying the clutch is slipping and there's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, it just wants the usual MOT service, possibly a clutch. Smart for 2. People tend to do all right with these when they have them, and obviously small CC automatics is where the money is at. This one with 116 on it, I don't think it wants an MOT, but that's a 2495 car to me, from what I can tell. Chances are we won't get it, because it wouldn't surprise if it goes over cap for that. Same with the Ypsilon as well. I'm hoping that is ridiculously cheap, because obviously the cap is 1600 quid, but it does want a lot of paint. What else have we got? A little Yaris. Now, surprisingly, I don't usually get a lot of Yarises in, because I'm usually priced out of them. But this one, a little cheapy, 119. Cap clean on it is 580. It's maybe in the middle. But you know what I mean. It's got something up with the gears. The gears are stiff apparently, but it's just been MOT'd as well. So I just basically want to tidy up. I think it has an advisory on its MOT, something to do with the exhaust, which I could probably get looked at. And it's got a little bit of a scratch on the door that I'll try and show you. It's hard to tell in the pictures as to whether it's something that will come out or not. I think it's got a little bit of a tear on a seat as well, just where the stitching's come away. There it is there. Now it's hard to tell as to whether what you can do with that. That might polish out. You might just be able to get away with touching in just to tidy up, because it is a cheap car. But again, we'll just have to wait and see if we get it, because, you know, with stiff gears and things like that, you don't want to be taking gearboxes out. And then, now I have put in big bold writing, only bid if it's extremely cheap. It's 1195. It needs it's due MOT. It's got a little bit of a scuff on the bumper corner, a few marker downs, but nothing too crazy. I will show you. So their handbrake test, typical Corsa. Rear view mirrors missing, horn. That's not the end of the world. Saying it's got marker down for the airbag light, but on the picture of the clocks it's not showing anything, so I don't know why that's there. And then this is the main one. The oil coolant contamination is being put down as green, and the oil level's just low. So cap clean on that's 280. It's not a clean car, so if that's going for like 150 quid, you know, I'll chuck me hand in there, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with it. It's just that really. Still waiting for the viewing to come on the Dacia, which should be, that's going to be a couple of hours yet. I'm going to get the Citroen pulled in, get that done. But yeah, just trying to be a bit more sensible with my stock that I'm buying. He says he's just been looking at an 05 Corsa, but they're good old cars, they really are. So all being well, if I can get that for really, really cheap, you know, as long as you don't spend too much money on it, how far wrong can you go with them? You know, I know the axles are a bit known to go and things like that, but you know what I mean. Potentially you could get checked out, see what it's going to need, and you can go back through the auctions, and you should realistically get your money back, you would think, even if you just tidied it up a touch. You might even make some money on it, with the way of the world at the moment. So we'll just see how we get on. Hopefully we can get some stuff bought. Right then, another week has come to an end. Just had a viewing on the Dacia. She sounds 98% certain about buying it. All she wants to do is she just wants to have that one final conversation with her husband, just to kind of get it over the line just that little bit more, which is great news. Hopefully it comes through. She says she'll let me know later on today. Car of the week. I only had one person vote last week, so I didn't do car of the week this week. And they voted for the Jag, and I couldn't really justify doing car of the week for one vote, sorry. So what I'm going to do from now on is I'm just going to say what I think car of the week is. And that will be the little Chevrolet Aveo. That car really has caught me by surprise. Really low mileage. It's come up really well. And I just think for the money, it's a really good car. As usual, all my socials and everything will be down below. Please do hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. And I will see you on the next one.